Thank you for staying with us here on Politics Today on Channels Television. One of the major issues on the mouths and on the minds of Nigerians is the issue of national conference. It's been a popular and a widely acclaimed clamor from Nigerians that we need to talk, and the modalities have been set up by the Nigerian government. But in February or thereabout, the conference will probably take place, and they've set up a lot of things that Nigerians will be looking into. But there is a no-go area. The indivisibility, the divisibility of Nigeria is not to be discussed. The unity of this country, they say, is not negotiable. That is the statement and the stand of the federal government of Nigeria on this. Also, the stand of the LG is that at the end of the day, the report or the agreement of the national conference will be added to the Nigerian constitution, and the national conference is supposed to be to give a form of legal framework for the nation. These are some of the issues that we'll be looking at on the program tonight, as I have Mr. Yinka Odumakin of Afenifere, Mr. Goddy Nwazuruike of Aka-Ikenga, and Mr. Yerima Shettima of the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying with us here on the program. Well, a lot of comments are coming on Twitter, and a lot of people are bringing forth their opinions. Well said, a lot of you. Some people say, why can't the divisibility of Nigeria be discussed? I think it's the first thing needed to be ironed out. That's Akin Wale. And also, Michael Obafemi said, for me, I don't believe in the confab. Since the report will be submitted to National Assembly, they will change people's will. These are some of your thoughts. And this is particular issue that we were talking about before we went on that break, the divisibility, the unity of this country. What is the fears generally about the divisibility of this country? And in the constitution of Nigeria, Mr. Nwazuruike, why can't we discuss if we want to stay together?
Well, you know, Mr. President and virtually all those who were elected in this country took the oath of office. One of those things they took is to uphold the Constitution. And the same Constitution has also stated the indivisibility of this country. It's there. It's enshrined. So for Mr. President to set up a panel to discuss whether this country will be together or not is to go against the Constitution, and that will be an impeachable offense. So he is mindful of that.
So the president is apt on the decision.
He's incapable of authorizing anybody to go and discuss it. But then remember one thing in law. If you want to discuss the indivisibility, you want this country to break up, you want this country, what you are doing is you are calling for a revolution. And the very first person that goes in a revolution is Mr. President. The others are the National Assembly. The existing legal order will be overthrown. Which is why, apart from one or two places like Uganda, where that was challenged, the then President Milton Obote said, I hereby set aside the Constitution, I hereby proclaim myself the President, I hereby do so many things. The other parties went to court, and it was Justice Udoma who was the Chief Justice of Uganda there. He said, as long as you make an order and the order holds, then you have set aside the existing Constitution. And if you watch whenever the military people strike, the first thing they do is to set aside. If that order is obeyed, then a new order of life has come into the country. But if it is ignored, like when Majoka and others say their own, it becomes treason. You have a living example in Egypt today. The military struck. That thing is a coup. But whatever name you call it, they have taken over, they have set aside the Constitution, and they are now in power. Their word is law. But as it is today, if we set up a panel, an assembly or any group and mandate them to go and discuss that, whatever they discuss, you'll be as guilty as them because you instigated them. So Mr. President is on the right track. If anybody wants a revolution, it's not Mr. President who will authorize you. Definitely not.
Let me quickly go to Mr. Shettima. The issues that we are going to be discussing in this particular national conference and the issue of representation there are over 400 people.
492.
492 people that are going, about 500 people that are going to be. A lot of reactions have also trailed that. What are your views about representation? Some people have said that ethnic nationalities should be the basis of the constitution of the delegates at the national conference. Do you think that the way the federal government has outlined its modality and representation, does it meet the aspirations of Nigerians?
Yes, it can't be that perfect to an extent, but the fact of the matter is that I think the idea of the government, or what the motive of the government, was to make the conference as more inclusive, so that we don't begin to have so much trouble. And this was the reason why the ethnic nationalities were given some certain privileges, civil societies, even the national assemblies, the executives, and whatever. They put it together too. I think the whole idea is about all-inclusive. And you are talking about all-inclusive now. Definitely you cannot just subject the entire conference to just be ethnic nationalities conference. I agree with them on that modalities. But still, I still want to come up with this issue of, there are more problems beyond just sitting on a round table to discuss issues. The outcome of this issue, going to National Assembly, is a big problem, my brother. I think it's high time we begin to canvass that. The government must have a rethink, if need be. Let them go and amend that constitution. Of course, I have my shortcoming about the constitution, and I knew definitely most of the problems we are facing now is this idea of even looking at this fourth document you call 1999 constitution, that of course we all know that the National Assembly on their own, they cannot give Nigerian constitution. We must make this thing very clear. What Nigerians are asking for,
it is enshrined in our laws also that the National Assembly has the prerogative to amend the constitution.
But we are not asking for amendment of constitution now. We are challenging the legitimacy of the document.
But well, if a lot of people are
the legitimacy making of constitution, nowhere in the world National Assembly make constitution for anybody. Nigeria make constitution.
But they are just mere managers. They have not made the constitution. They are not making the constitution. They are amending it.
But we are not asking for amendment. We are challenging the legitimacy of the 1999 constitution.
Is that not going to be tantamount to having two sovereignty? If you say that we have a constitution who
originally is the owner of this sovereignty? Is it the National Assembly? Is it the managers that are original owners of it because they were given the mandate to manage it, or is it the Nigerian people that owns the sovereignty? Those are cases we must make very clear.
Are you a legal practitioner, Mr. Nwazuruike? Is it not going to lead into some form of chaos, legal chaos, if we suspend the 1999 constitution? Fine, there are a lot of criticism against it, but it's still our guideline as a country.
Well, I understand what Yerima is saying, that 1999 constitution tells a lie. Yinka has also said something. That is true. But remember what I said about existing legal order. We have accepted it. Yerima and others have gone to court. It is on the basis of that 1999 constitution that you went to court. So you have accepted it. If you say you want to do away with the constitution, that becomes a revolution. And a revolution cannot come from constituted authority, except in the case of Uganda. It must come from below. And it doesn't have to be violent.
Tell us how it can flow into the scheme of things, because Nigerians want to know. And what we try to do on this program is to break it down for people to easily understand. It could be very complex, but if people are asking basically that is the resolution of the national conference to be subjected to a plebiscite or a referendum, how will that work, considering that we have an existing law, constitution on ground?
Let me give you the feeling I have today from people. As of today, most people are not happy that whatever comes out of conference will go to the National Assembly. They are angry. But the truth of the matter is that there's nothing you can do about it, because it is only the National Assembly and National Assembly only that can effect one, changes or amendment to the Constitution. Now, the National Assembly cannot even do away with the Constitution as it is today. The confab will do its discussions and hand over. But if the confab gets up and says, we hereby set aside the National Assembly, we set aside the Constitution, if the next minute a policeman rushes in with a gun and says, everybody get out, then your coup attempt has failed. Because in this country, that Constitution streamlined processes of doing things. What we're trying to look at is executive way of thinking, helping the president to think, but not to make laws. And what is the president expected to do? persuade the National Assembly to look into it. And if you notice, in the last 1 week, House of Reps has started stampeding the amendment of the Constitution. I believe.
I think that is intentional.
Oh yeah, they are afraid of what will come out of the confab. So they want to say, well, we have passed through it. The National Assembly will never be interested in the confab because it's a rival body.
Okay.